created. Just last Friday, Mr. Speaker, Statistics Canada reported even better than expected job numbers with the creation of 77,000 new full-time jobs, the third largest one-month increase in the past 5 years. But, Mr. Speaker, behind those numbers are individual Canadians, tens of thousands of them, tens of thousands who can begin to take greater control over their personal finances, tens of thousands who can provide a better life for themselves and for their families. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, the latest data continues to show the significant gains made in the jobs growth since the middle of last year, a trend that economists are now citing as evidence that the momentum we set earlier this year is continuing. More than 38,000 young people, Mr. Speaker, young Canadians, found full-time work last month, making it possible to save for next year's tuition, to get into the first apartment, or buy their first home. And the senior economist from TD, DePrato, concluded, I quote, "We think the Canadian economy is in a very good place right now," unquote. A very good place indeed, Mr. Speaker, an economy in a very good place, thanks to the very good management. While the economy is in a very good place and we are starting to see a slow and steady recovery even in Alberta, I know that many people in my home province of Alberta are still feeling anxious about the economic situation. I know this because I know people who have been affected by the downturn. They're my neighbors, my family, my friends, my constituents. This is why our government has provided significant support both in the short and the long term for Alberta during this difficult time. In our very first budget, Mr. Speaker, we provided $250 million in a fiscal stabilization fund to government of Alberta. We responded to significant levels of unemployment by extending EI benefits for all Albertans who need them. And we helped diversify our markets by providing $750 million worth of loans from the Export Development Canada. In the medium term, Mr. Speaker, in Budget 2017, we provided the province of Alberta up to $30 million in grant funding to cover the interest cost of $250 million loan, which will put more than 1,500 Albertans to work over the next 3 summers, cleaning up orphaned and abandoned wells. The work will happen now, and the industry will pay back the loan over the next 10 years. Since taking office, Mr. Speaker, we have made historic investments in infrastructure in Alberta. Since taking office, my department has approved 138 infrastructure projects in Alberta worth a combined investment of $4.8 billion. As a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, today we marked a milestone. We have approved 3,000 projects since taking office with combined investment of $23 billion in Canadian communities. And vast majority of those projects are underway, creating jobs for Canadians.